everyone, welcome. I'm Izzy at Minerva. Today we're looking at a series of 3 fit alterations, all to do with the seat of our trousers. We are continuing our little mini series of looking at how to fit our bespoke trouser block. Today I am wearing the Hues dress by Friday Pattern Company, and the pattern is available to buy on our website. We'll link the product below so you can easily find it. It's a beautiful dress and it is made today in our Minerva exclusive Banana Hills Viscose Chalet. So do take a look at that and we'll tag both those products below. You can also check out my Minerva profile on our Minerva website, where you can find all the details and all of my opinions about the make and a little review about the pattern and the fabric there too. So basically what we're looking at today is the shape of the block in relation to where our bum sits on the block. So there's 3 things that I want to look at in a little bit more detail that just all reflect how the fit in that area is looking. So the first image that we've got here is the low seat alteration. So if this is the fit issue that you need to make, what you're going to see is excess or baggy fabric underneath your bum. So we've got too much volume of fabric just underneath the bum at the top of the legs. And basically, when it says it's a low seat, it means that your bum is sitting lower than the pattern has been drafted for. So what we need to do is actually just reflect that straight onto the block and alter the block accordingly. So let's look at what that means for you today. Okay, so in front of me here, I've got my back trouser block. I've already made some alterations to this block so that it fits me really nicely. However, the principles will apply to you at home exactly as I'm showing you today. Now I have actually already made this alteration on my block, but I'm going to show you a more exaggerated way of doing that today. And as I said, those principles will apply to you. If this is the side seam, this is our centre back of our back trousers. Now what's happening under here is this is the bit that scoops underneath our back leg and comes down to the centre, the inner leg of our trousers here. So effectively our bum is sort of sitting in this area here, and the curve of our bum is sitting lower than the block wants it to. So what we need to do is to create more space for it to sit in this area. We need to be taking out fabric and lowering that curve there. So effectively, all we want to do is just to create a bit more of a lower L shape. Now it is tricky to know how much you want to take out of your trouser at this point. I would always recommend doing incremental small changes if you're not sure, because a small change can make a big impact on the trouser fit. So I'm going to assume for this here that we just want to remove 1.5 centimetres. So at the sort of centre of the curve down here, I'm just marking a point that is 1.5 centimetres away from the curve here. Just going to extend and mark another point, 1.5 down here at that point too. So we've got 2 little help points at these in this area here. Now effectively all we want to do is to kind of curve them up so it creates more of a kind of sharp L shape at that point. So you can just freehand join these, or you can find a nice curve on your ruler, which might be easier said than done because it's quite a concise curve, this, isn't it? Okay, so something like that. We're wanting it to tie into the centre back still, and if it needs to, it can sort of just grade into that if necessary. So once you've found a curve that you're happy with, you can just draft that and all the way through. Now what you'll notice is that at this point here, we're still tying in to this point here, which is the crotch line, isn't it, effectively? That line here is where it hits there. And that's because we don't want to lower it, because that will change the length of our inner leg seam here. So it needs to stay the same. All we're trying to do is just to drop that curve at that point only for this alteration. Now, obviously on your block, to make this change, it's just the back trouser leg that you need to change. So I would recommend then you go and cut out this back trouser block, cut out 2 copies, and then attach that onto your existing toile for your front legs. It just saves you a little bit of time that way, doesn't it? Because we're only looking at the back fit. You can obviously only cut out 1 leg as well. So you can then just attach that 1 leg onto your existing toile and see what that effect is. And it will show you quite clearly then between left leg and right leg, which one is fitting better. So do take a look at that. You may find you need to exaggerate a little bit more or potentially a little bit less if it's getting too tight in that area. Okay, the next two changes that we're going to look at are both to do with a full seat or a flat seat. If you need a full seat adjustment, then you're going to have drag lines like shown in the image next to me right here. And what you're going to see is drag lines coming and radiating in towards the bum from the side seam and all the way around that area. What you may also find is you have a gapping waistband as well in that area, sitting nicely at the front, but at the back you've got a bit of volume. You may well want to refer to our next video, which looks specifically at a gaping waistband at the back of the trousers. But for this one, we're just going to be looking at how to create that extra volume around the full seat area. Now, if you have a flat seat alteration that you need to do, well, we've got the opposite effect of this. So what's happening with the flat seat alteration, if you need it, it means that your bum is smaller than the amount of volume that we have drafted for in the block. And what this results in is excess fabric when you're wearing the garment. You can see drag lines sort of coming, radiating down from under your bum and underneath the seat of your trousers there, as you can see in the image next to me. So these two methods of looking at the full or flat seat are definitely related, and the same principles apply, but sort of in reverse for one compared to the other. So let's take a look at these together now. The first thing we need to do is the same for both of them. Now, if you recall, when we did our original trouser block, we did our block and then we traced around it and we added like a triangle of ease from the side seam towards the centre back. And what that did was it gave us extra volume around the seat of the trousers. However, we were making an estimate when we did our pattern drafting. We were using just generic formulas, and I think from memory we added 4 centimetres at that point. Now, depending on the amount of volume you need in that area, you may need more than 4 centimetres, or you may well need a much less than 4 centimetres. So what we're doing now is just looking at that one alteration that we did for the original block and just seeing if we need to increase that or reduce it according to your body requirements. So whether you're doing the full seat or the flat seat alteration, just cut along that hip line and we'll leave a pivot point at the side seam. Now, if you have a full seat and you need more volume into your block, what you effectively need to do is to add that volume at this point here. So pivoting at the side seam of the hip location, adding in the extra volume. Now you may well want to start with just a small increase, like a 2 centimetre increase, and then gradually build that up if you need to. Don't forget, small changes make a big impact on the trousers. So if that is the case for you, you're going to want to extend that out and then draw in your new centre back curve line. So once you've increased the volume as you need to, just want to draw in that new centre back line. Now at this point here, we've not altered the curve down at the bottom, so that's going to stay exactly the same. And this line now becomes your new centre back line, and that alteration is completely finished. Now, if you're wanting to make the flat seat alteration, obviously we want to be doing the opposite because we're wanting to remove volume from that area. Let's just remind ourselves of what we're seeing if we have a flat seat. What we're going to see is baggy fabric underneath the seat of the bum and then drag lines sort of coming up to the hips. We've just got too much volume in that area. So, as we did for the previous alteration, we've cut along the hip line, leaving a pivot point at the side seam, and let's say we want to reduce the volume by 2 centimetres. Mark a point along the centre back that's 2 centimetres below your hip line. Take the top of the trousers and just pivot it down until it hits that 2 centimetre mark. And now at this point, we're happy with the curve that's going on down here, but we've got a little bit of a junction there to sort out. So let's just curve that off nice and gently so that we have a nice smooth centre back line. And there we have it. It doesn't look like a dramatic change because the shape of it still looks very similar, but we have reduced the volume by 2 centimetres. So those 3 little alterations are going to make a big impact as to how the trouser is sitting around the seat of the block. I hope you found that really helpful, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them below the video. We always love to hear from our maker community here at Minerva. So thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week.